you don't see that happen. I don't. I mean, I know that when I go see a band and I've had this connection to maybe their past works, we're not always that excited about the new things. Am I wrong? Hi, this is Claudio from Coheed And Cambria, and these are the top 5 songs that define Coheed And Cambria, according to me. Gravity's Union. It's sort of what informed the process that is sort of happening now in the records that we're putting out. We're really sort of tributing the demo process, the writing process of the song. So any records you hear now, you kind of have a bit of the inception of the song. That one to me, personally, it combines my fear of driving with also the loss of my uncle. Years and years ago, when I was much younger, my grandfather experienced the car accident of his son, and I feel like somehow in, the family that sort of spilled into my, my fear of driving. And so that's a big one. So I find myself not driving very much just because I don't want to accidentally hurt anyone that might be a passenger in the car. It's tough to say if Gravity's Union is a fan favorite. I mean, I think it is. I know it's a favorite to me just because, it's, I think the composition is very interesting. It's the song that I knew when I wrote it that would really benefit Josh coming back into the band. There's just something about it, like from the vocal delivery. I mean, that is from the demo. That is the day I wrote the song. I was sick. I thought there was no way I was going to recreate that character in the studio. So I decided to keep that. Even the rig that I used to record the guitar, which was it was like a Steph Carpenter 8-string into a Death by Audio Interstellar Overdrive into a PV Special 130. Like, I remember this stuff because this is the day I wrote it. It's the stuff that I don't remember when we go into the studio and later try to recreate. I feel like that, to me, I'm not really connected to nearly as much as the day I write these songs. So that's what I find so special about that song because, we ended up kind of doing that process with the later records. Cyrus Amory is loosely based on my grandfather. So when, in the 70s, his son got into a terrible car accident. My grandfather was the one that was in the ambulance with him when his son passed. And, it was very, very rarely was it talked about in the house. And so when I created the character of Cyrus Amory, I gave bits of my life and the experiences of my family to that character. And, one was that car accident. And in that car accident was, instead of it being the son, it was actually the wife with child, who also, my grandfather lived 40 years of his life without his wife. So that was the connection, But yeah, it's an experience that the character Cyrus has, but it's very much based on the experiences my family have gone through. The Liars Club. Liars Club is a fan favorite. Liars Club goes off like insane for a new Coheed song. I'm actually really surprised, being a band of 25 years to have a song strike a chord like that. You don't see that happen. I don't. I mean, I know that when I go see a band and I've had this connection to maybe their past works, we're not always that excited about the new things. Am I wrong? But this is like, I don't know, I feel like Coheed new material goes over almost better than old material. If not, it does, and Liars Club is proof. To me, Liars Club is essentially about, accepting, the farcities that you can construct when your life kind of sucks, And if you could have like a significant other that can go along with you in that, well, to lie together is, and to be blissfully ignorant in a farce seems pretty cool to me. So that's essentially what the song kind of is about, and it crushes. Welcome Home. Welcome Home is a love song, and I know that's hard to imagine, but it is. It's very much a love song. I mean, It's a song about heartbreak. You know, when I was younger, I experienced a pretty significant heartbreak, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And the only way best I could was writing a song that was very angry, aggressive. You know, just really didn't know how to communicate those feelings other than being angry. And that's kind of what Welcome Home is. You know, it's welcome to this new version of your life, this new persona that you've taken on, because, you know, before this, I was fine, you know, and now I'm not. So yeah, that's essentially what it is. I mean, as far as it goes in the Amory Wars, you know, when I wrote that record of Good Apollo, because it was so much about heartbreak, it was really hard for me to then hide it in a piece of fiction, right? Like, you know, all of these records are very much based after my life. Like, every one of them is a chapter, and I just had a hard time being a frontman and conveying myself, like, you know, as an open book to the public, so I created a piece of fiction to hide behind. But when I wrote Good Apollo, it was so clearly obvious a record about somebody angry at you know, the life that they were given in the separation of a significant other, that I realized if I'm gonna do this properly within the story, I'm gonna have to cut the story in half and show it from both the character's perspective and the writer's perspective, and how the writer's choices and things he's experienced influence the character's motives in the story. So, so yeah, that's kind of what that connection is. Everything Evil. Everything Evil is a wacky song. And I think because I feel like that was the song on the first record that made us stand out from everything sort of, it made us unique, I think. You know, I'm not entirely sure I heard many songs like it coming up. That one was a challenge to write because, you know, it was on sort of the fringes of like how to make the concept work, how to make my life sort of work. You know, I was also influenced by odd things like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, you know, and somehow that like kind of spilled into it. So really the identity of the concept was kind of still forming when those songs were being written. Also, I was just trying to learn how to communicate on that album, you know, who I was and how that fit into this other narrative that I was creating. So, but I just think that musically, it's a piece all its own. Atlas. Well, that's clearly a song about my son. Atlas is such an important song to me and such an emotional song that, I mean, I think we've only played it once, you know, because I just have a hard time executing it. You know, I wrote that song before my son was born. Clearly, Color Before the Sun was without the concept. So it was just, you know, it was just me cataloging the moments and feelings before my son was born. And that was sort of the play on the title of that record, you know, The Color Before the Sun. So, you know, I wrote that for him. You know, I knew that when he'd come into the world that things were going to be different. This lifestyle would be very different. The desire to be home would be more intense. But at the same time, you know, potentially beneficial as like, you know, I think my wife is the stronger of the two of us and probably the better influence. You know, but, you know, it was so many feelings in writing that song. You know, but yeah, I wrote it for him.